Hey everybody, G-Bear, Homesteading the Desert. It is June 3rd, 2018. Decision made as to the location of my compost bin. All that block was what I had on the trailer. There's 2 in the front here and there's 4 in the back. Those will be to hold a piece of black visqueen, plastic visqueen, over the top of the compost. Once I get it started in there, I'll moisten it down using water, gray water to get it nice and wet, and then cover it so that I can sweat it down in the hot sun without evaporating all the water off of it with the wind that's blowing. As you probably notice, you're probably getting a little bit of the sound of the wind involved here, but I forgot to put on my wind mic because I didn't think it was going to be this windy out here. All right, moving down the line, look at the plants in that unit there. They're just loving it. The tomatoes are growing fast. The potatoes, the cloud potatoes are up over the top. Just the corn is probably about because they go down about 2 inches in the bottom, about 6 inches tall now. The onions or the sunions, they're cresting through the top of the wire cage over the top of them. The carrots, from here I can see the carrots waving in the wind above the top of the bucket, and those are 3 inches down from the top. So yeah, things are growing. Just really liking the sun out here. I'm gonna probably, if I can get to it, work on starting this wire up. I had to do some thinking on how I'm going to do this, and I think what I'm going to do is start in the middle, put the middle piece up, because those are only 5 feet across, those 2 crossbars, and that's a 6-foot roll. So they'll be overhanging. And then when I put the 6-foot part, which is this post at this end here, I put the 6-foot part on there, it'll have a 1-inch overlap or a 1-foot overlap up there. A 6-inch overlap, and I can just stitch the wires together there without having to go up on top to do it. So that was my plan, and I thought of all of that while I was doing something else today. And yeah, we're walking towards the chicken coop because I've added a few things to the chicken coop today that I think you ought to see. And this is really, really exciting. So let's get over here and see what's going on. Oh, look at this. We have chickens. Rhode Island Reds. Got 1 and 2 more underneath the step here. They've already gone up inside and checked out the cage, and I left my drill motor up there because I put a hanging unit there with a chunk of bread on it for them to peck at. But they were going after the chicken scratch and the corn I put out instead. And you can see they were underneath the coop all day where the shade was. I tossed in a couple of banana peels from lunch, and wow, did they love banana peels. They went crazy over the banana peels. So right now they're hunkering down because the wind's blowing. I've seen them go up the unit and go inside, checking things out. The nesting boxes. Let me get this one open so you can see. They didn't have straw, so I had to settle for pine chips or pine flakes for nesting. I'll pick up straw down in the OC next time I'm down that way. I'll get 1 bale of straw and I'll pull this stuff out, put it in a bag, and I'll use it for a composting toilet in the wintertime. All right. I did fill both sides, so that's fine. They haven't discovered the water nipples here yet, but they did find the ones inside the cage. So they know there's water inside there, and they also found the chicken scratch feeder that I put in there. Let me show you how I did that. We'll open up the back here. And I can reach my drill from here, I think. Let me climb in and grab it. There we go. Yeah, so what I did was I made an L-shaped rod to go through the unit there, so it actually sits and swings on it. And to take it out of there, I just pull that one out of the hole and then slide that one out of the hole. But that gives them some chicken feed inside here. And there's the cups. All three were full earlier. Two of them are empty already. They've been drinking out of it. So I don't blame them. It was a hot day, 103 degrees out here today. And yes, it was warm, but humidity was only 7%. So, as they always say, it was a dry heat. Don't you love dry heat? I do. Oops, let me get this one closed up. Sorry about the view of the close-up of the wood, but that's where we are. I did move the ATV and all of that, and I picked up some chicken scratch feed and some whole kernel corn for an added treat, and the shavings along with them. Now tomorrow, I've got 3 more hens coming, and I'm not going to tell you where, and how, and who, but let's just say when you know somebody, it's a good thing. So I'm going to have 3 more coming tomorrow. That's going to give me a total of 6. I wanted 8, but 6 will be a good starter. And then next spring, I'll bring in some fresh chicks, and we'll start all over again. These are 1 year old, and hens start laying eggs at around 6 months. So these will lay eggs. They're a little stressed now because of the move, but they really are liking their new home, their big yard, and they're getting used to it. So I think they're going to be happy here. I'll check in the morning to see if there's any eggs in any of the nesting boxes. Not really looking at finding any, because like I said, when a chicken's under stress, they won't lay eggs. And the move here was a little stressful for them, and they're getting used to a new environment. So it may take a little while for them to lay eggs, maybe a couple of days. And I've got some work to do this week, the earnings for the yearnings type work. And I'll get that done and then come back up here and see how my 6 hens have fared. So they'll have plenty of water, plenty of feed. By the way, my automatic feeder over there holds 25 pounds of chicken scratch. That's a mixture of oats and cracked corn and barley and all kinds of other stuff all put together in one mix. And the chickens will normally, if you spread it out on the ground, they'll pick and choose what they want to eat. But when you've got it inside the holes like that, they just stick their heads in and they grab whatever gets into their mouth. So they're walking around, picking at the ground now. They're going to have full shade in a little while here, and I'll come out and check them again and see how they're doing. Another thing I'm going to do is I've got a head of cabbage that has been in the refrigerator a while. It's starting to get a couple of little black spots on the outer leaves. I could still peel off the outside and use it for myself, but I saw a YouTube video where a guy took a head of cabbage and hung it like I did that piece of bread on a string, and the chickens just went nuts over it. They stood around that thing, pecking at that thing for hours. So maybe that'll help relieve some of their stress. I'll set that up for them tomorrow, before the next 3 chickens, next 3 hens come. There's one going up into the cabin now. He's going up the steps there, looking around, seeing what's going on. He's been on it, or she's been in and out of there a few times. So she likes going in there. She knows that it's the coop where they're going to be bedding down tonight, and we'll see how they do. G Bear signing off.